The Derya Arms Island Barrel shooting impressions. Coming up next, you'll see almost my first shots through the gun. I'll explain about that front sight. But we'll go through our standard protocol of starting cold, full magazine plus one. We'll try multiple different Glock pattern magazines to see how they work with this. Take it to the What's for Dinner table to see what the gun eats. Over to the spinner for sights and trigger control, as well as maybe a look at what kind of energy we're getting with those ports. Then some practical accuracy and my concluding thoughts. All coming up next on GBGuns! First day of summer. It's 53 degrees. I can see my breath and it's raining. All right, so on this island barrel, I have shot it before, so these aren't exactly my first absolute cold shots. As you saw on the tabletop, it comes with a factory blacked out front sight so it doesn't get roasted by the ports. So I had to mount a dot. This is the O-Sight X, which I've been impressed with thus far. And due to timing of things and being able to get to the range, whatnot, I took this for the AccuShoot comparison before doing the review, so shot quite a bit. And during that time, the front sight backed out. I've spoken to Derya Arms about it. They're including Loctite on all of that stuff now. It's just, I still have the sight, lost the screw. Not a big deal, especially because I was going to be using a dot anyways. We've got a 12-inch round set up about 20 yards away for these shots. Pardon while I bend down to get underneath the umbrellas that I'm using to keep the cameras dry. 10 rounds of PMC Bronze 124 grain. That's gonna be our range ammo for this video. Let's see how this zero holds on 12 inches at 20 yards. And it has been a couple weeks since I've shot this, so it's practically first shots. I can't tell where I'm missing because the ground is too wet. Let's try bracketing some. I'm gonna aim low. There we go. Not great hits, of course, because the zero's not great for 20 yards. That happens, but that's not the point of that test. That was just to get a basic feel for the gun. The traction on this works even in the rain. Feels a little bit slippery when you hold it, but under recoil it's not moving, largely thanks to the magwell on here. And by the way, those that don't want to use the magwell, Derya Arms now has back straps designed to be used without the magwell. Those are available on the site for very affordable. But the gun was flat. Next is full magazine plus one. See how the gun runs fully stuffed. Love that this came with 3 magazines, making this test really easy. And since my zero is so far off, I'm gonna do kind of a speed dump. We're gonna see what kind of recoil control we get. Hopefully you guys get a good idea from where you're viewing. Very flat, very consistent, very easy to do. That was awesome. Next we have the multi-mag test. This takes Glock pattern magazines, but as we've proven with multiple other guns in the past, just because it takes Glock pattern magazines and you have a Glock pattern aftermarket magazine, doesn't mean the two are compatible due to different inner magwell dimensions, mag catches, things like that. So we've got 9 different aftermarket mags to give a run through. First up is an AC Unity windowed, just 3 rounds, see how it runs. It fits, it runs, it drops free. We have a Pro Mag, always the gamble. This is the 17 rounder. 15 rounders, most of them don't fit with the magazine well on here. Does not drop free. Torque Mag, these are the ones that have extra capacity due to a different follower and spring setup. Does not drop free. Factory Glock with the Factory Glock Plus 2. Old mag from my competition days. And man, and of course it drops free. I am definitely feeling the pains of red dot in imperfect weather. I'm losing visibility rapidly here. The Magpole. This is the 15 rounder. It does fit inside the magwell. And drops free. Shake the rain off. One of the Bull Armory magazines. These have the nice base plate with the little wings on it. This is the 17 rounder. It does fit slightly extended. Runs great. ETS Smoke Mag. This is one of the 15 rounders. This does fit inside with the magwell. Fits below the magwell. Or, sorry, up inside. Higher than, I guess. Drops free. An Ulti-Mag. These are the ones that you can load to higher capacity. No, not that one. Never mind. But an Ulti-Mag. I've had troubles with these in the past. But it drops free from the Derya. And the new Mekgar Steel magazine fits. And of course, it drops free. So we've got quite a few compatible aftermarket Glock magazines to use in what's coming up next, and that is What's for Dinner. And filming this portion undercover because it's raining on this first day of summer. It's What's for Dinner time. As I go past these, you'll notice that we've got 90 grain up to 165 grain. As a reminder, the point of What's for Dinner is to see what the gun will eat. Each of these different ogive locations, case materials, projectile types, projectile weights. Will it feed from slide lock? Is there enough energy to cycle and feed another round of the same type? And will it lock open on empty? Since we're using multiple magazines from the Glock pattern, if there's an issue, we'll check, stop and go back to a factory magazine because I'll be using lots of different magazines in this test. If you want to see if the gun runs fully stuffed with these, check the pinned comment over at my site. I will link to sources where I can find them. I want to give a special thanks to Right and Rain for this waterproof target that is saving us. You can see the cardboard, the paper is on is beginning to sag, but the paper target remains good. First up is our Underwood Extreme Defender. Look, it's a 90 grain. For more details on this stuff, of course, pin comment as always. We'll see how far that zero is really off. I'm going to keep it the same so that we notice any point of impact shift round to round. Now, an important topic on What's for Dinner with ported barrels, and I've warned about this in other videos with ported guns, is when they're still rifling and it's not backboard, like some companies are doing, but this is not. You do run the risk with certain plated bullets of those plates being shaved by the opening of the port, being ejected out the port in random directions, and impacting the accuracy of your gun. So people think it's an inaccurate gun, or they think that stuff's getting sprayed everywhere. It's just the wrong ammo. Some of the ammo we're using today may be plated. I have shot plated ammo through this before. As the shooter, I didn't get any debris coming at me that time. However, standing behind someone shooting it, I was getting showered with debris. So just a safety thing to be aware of. And dots are definitely for fair weather shooters only. This is pretty obstructed view. That was the magazine. This is the ETS, and you got to really stick it in there. Not a gun failure. Hit high, interestingly enough. No issues cycling. It's getting, I gotta see if I can wipe this dot off with something. It's getting really difficult to see. MagTech 95 grain jacketed soft points. This is in the Ulti-Mag. No idea. Oh, those hit way high. Interesting. The percussion of those, normally those are really loud rounds, really gassy rounds, but with these ports, it was super flat shooting. Next we have the Federal 100 grain reduced recoil, and I am going to start aiming a little bit lower just in case. I'm going to aim at the bottom of the squares, see if we can get us on paper here. The bottom of the dark green square. Did not group as nicely. It is getting difficult to see. Dots in bad weather, not compatible. SIG 365, a 115 grain. This is meant for short barrels, and although this is a 4-inch barrel, it's ported. So we're getting, we need faster burn. So let's see if we get a difference here. I didn't feel a huge difference. Hornady American Gunner, the Hag 124 grain in the Metgar mag. Grouped pretty well, felt pretty good. And I'm also remembering that this dot was bottomed out. So we're gonna have to just deal with hitting a little high, aiming a little low, because that's the dot that I've got. Go to our Law Enforcement Premium 124 grain. Felt pretty good. Pimmick Sifix, the PMC SFX 124 grain. Felt very good and grouped very good. Hornady Critical Duty 135 grain. Oh, we did not get slide lock on that Pimmick Sifix. We're good now for our Hornady 135. Winchester Defender 147 grain. This stuff tends to be spicy, which for a ported gun should be good. Feels pretty soft. Ammo Inc. Stolf 165 grain. No A in that word. Oh my gosh, ridiculously soft. That was silly easy. All right, well, not the greatest. Could be me. Could be the fact that I've got rain disrupting my sight picture tremendously on this dot. Let's head over to the spinner and see how it does for sights and trigger control. About 13 yards away from that 6-inch spinner, use this target for sights and trigger control because it's a small target at distance that moves as I hit it. The better I hit it, the faster it moves, the more difficult timing a well-placed shot becomes. Hence, it's a great test for sights and trigger control. Now, sights were at a bit of a disadvantage using a dot out here in the rain, but that's what we've got. Ammunition is that PMC 124 grain, and as this O-Sight X bottomed out, still too high, I'm gonna have to aim quite low. 8 rounds, let's see what we can do. TKO. Now, that probably looked pretty easy because it was pretty easy. I love the reticle in the O-Sight of the circle dot. Now, when properly zeroed, it usually fits right over a 6-inch target at this distance, which makes it really easy. I just found a spot to hold on and stayed there. The trigger on these is not something that any trigger snob is going to get excited about. However, it is very predictable, and if you're just doing a pull through kind of punch, very easy to do, very crisp, as one would expect from this the parent platform. So pretty easy, and it's a trigger that you just got to shoot. If you try to slow fire like I was doing for What's for Dinner, it's a bit of a challenge. It feels long, it feels very Glockish. However, since it can take Glock parts, you're welcome to change that if you want. For me, it's fine as is. All right, now the last part is practical accuracy. Let's see how I do slow fire in the rain with a wet dot. 5 shots from 7 yards, take 2. What happened to the first one? Well, as I've warned many, many a times, dots are not great for weather like this. I had what I call a shattered dot. A droplet of water had landed in where the emitter is. So I was ending up with this sort of starburst of little red points all over the place and no real aiming point. Fortunately, I have a microcloth in my Ranger bag. I went back and cleaned things up. So take 2 for the bottom right, 5 rounds of that PMC Bronze 124 grain. And let's get this done before I lose the dot again. Shipment 5, we did not get slide lock that particular time. I don't know if that was my grip. No, it's this magazine. And this is one of the included Derya magazines. First things first, I know some of you are going to say, oh, those holes were a little nasty. Oh, what's going on there? The bolt's tumbling. No, it's because the cardboard is sagging beneath the Right and Rain target. The target is beginning to have a bow to it, so it's round. So technically the surface area being hit by the bullet is bigger than it would be if it was taut. But it's raining, and I don't stop for weather. So that's what happened there. After shots on the DY9, having now spent a couple of range sessions with it, for a magazine article a while back, I reviewed the Zev OZ9 Hypercomp, which was very expensive, very impressive, had the same type of island barrel, and a very similar shooting experience. Now, of course, the Hypercomp has the whole chassis thing in it, so it weighs a little bit differently, it's smoother. But for the price of this gets you pretty darn close. And hopefully you guys were able to see how flat it can stay in hand. This is working via the ports. It's also working via reduced slide mass. What the difference is, of course, is in the pinned comment that's over on the article. But yeah, it is a different slide mass, even with the giant Osite X on top. So it's changed the way the gun feels, makes it very smooth and easy to shoot. The trigger is a little bit heavier than I would like for a gun like this, since this is kind of a performance fun gun, at least for me. It's I wouldn't carry ports, and I obviously wouldn't carry a dot. So I'd consider swapping out the trigger, but again, for the price point of this, that's fine. And triggers are kind of like AR pistol grips. No matter what company goes with, chances are somebody's going to want to change it anyways, so why not keep the cost down and go with something simple and basic that is functional. Derya Arms is going to be making this complete slide available as a separate item, which is pretty cool. I love that so many companies, for years we had the aftermarket trying to help the Glock be a more shootable, more enjoyable gun. Now we've got aftermarket like Derya Arms and Meta Tactical and companies like that helping us get use out of those old Glocks, because chances are you already have one, and chances are also pretty good unless you just like it. There's nothing wrong with that, but you might have been tired of it and put it away. And this slide setup is definitely a great excuse to pull a Glock out again and really enjoy it. The ports really work. The ergonomics are great. I think with the drop-in trigger, this would be a heck of a kind of a sleeper compact gun. And I would also love to see one in a larger size, maybe a 17, or maybe fill the gap that's now been left by the 34. Although in the age of dots, long slides are kind of going away. No one seemed to have ever really cared about muzzle energy unless they're in defensive shooting or shooting steel. So it's a fun one. It's a really fun one. And at a price point that's kind of like, hey, why not? And you guys may recall what got me into Derya in the first place was at the initial launch when Rock Island was importing them. There was kind of a going into business sale, and I picked up the original for under $2, which was just absurd. And I bought it purely because it's like, well, I mean, how bad can it be? And it turned out to be pretty good. The sights were a little bit fat, the trigger a little bit heavy. But as you may recall, in that showdown of 8 different Glock pattern guns, that actually helped the Derya quite a bit, more so than one would expect, in running it hard and fast defensive style. The trigger let me get aggressive without throwing the gun off too much, and those big fat sights made it really easy to acquire them quickly. If you're curious about seeing that gun versus this gun, over on the second channel, I'll have a video using AccuShoot and 2 shooters to see if we can put some real hard numbers to the advantage you get of one gun over the other in various applications. Should be fun. Thank you guys for 10 years of support, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you to our Patreon supporters. GBGuns and I do 2-level. Derek S. Jr., Joseph T. LG Peter A. Tom Sky King.